The first time she asked if there was space in my bed, she was standing in my bedroom doorway wearing my old flannel, eyes swollen from crying, bare feet on the hardwood like she was ready to run at any second. "Is there space left in your bed?" she said, voice small but steady. I was already sitting on the edge of the mattress, trying to act calm while my heart beat hard in my chest. I looked straight at her. "For you," I said, "there is always space." She let out a shaky breath, like her lungs had been locked all night and finally got the code. But that moment did not start there, in my room. It started about 3 hours earlier, with a kind of knock I had learned to recognize. 3 short taps. Too sharp to be casual, too scared to be angry. Like someone was afraid of both knocking and not knocking. It was August in Phoenix, the kind of heat that makes the sidewalk look like it is breathing. My old window unit was humming in the living room. A baseball game was on the TV with the volume low. I was sanding the edge of a maple coffee table for a client, sawdust on my jeans. My whole world narrowed down to the corner of that board. Then I heard the knock. I wiped my hands on a rag and went to the door. When I opened it, Lily from 3A was standing in the hallway. We had done the usual neighbor stuff for months. Quick smiles by the mailboxes, jokes about my beat-up Ford truck in the parking lot, a few short talks about coffee and her freelance design work. I knew she worked from home, liked bold colors, and hated cheap paper. I also knew she had an ex who did not understand the word no. Right now, she did not look like the girl who once laughed at my truck and called it classic. She looked like she had just walked out of a nightmare. Her cheeks were wet. Her hands were shaking at her sides. There was a small split on her bottom lip like she had bitten it too hard. "Ethan," she said, "can I come in for a minute?" "Yeah," I said right away, stepping aside. "Of course, come in." She moved past me fast, like she was afraid someone might grab her from behind. I closed the door, slid the deadbolt, and set the chain. I did it slow and obvious so she could see every motion. Her eyes followed my hands. When the lock clicked, her shoulders dropped just a little. "What happened?" I asked. She wrapped her arms around herself. Her oversized canvas bag hung off one shoulder, forgotten. "He came by," she said. She did not have to say his name. I knew who she meant. "Did he touch you?" I asked, feeling anger rise under my skin. She shook her head. "Not this time. He just slammed on my door and shouted. Same things as always. That I ruined his life. That no one else will ever get me. That I belong with him." Her voice got tight. "He thinks yelling that makes it true." I had heard something earlier through my open window, a man's voice in the courtyard, the thud of a fist on wood, a car engine. I had stood there, listening, trying to decide if running down the stairs would help her or make everything worse. "I called the non-emergency number again," she said. "They said they would. Add a note." She gave a short, bitter laugh on the word note. "Did he try to get in?" I asked. She shook her head again. "I kept the door locked, but I can feel it when he hits it. The walls shake. My hands start shaking before he even knocks. I can smell his cologne under the door." She looked down at her fingers. "After he leaves, I walk around and check every lock, every window, over and over. I tell myself I'm fine. My body doesn't believe me." She looked up. "I am so tired, Ethan." Something twisted hard in my chest. I fix broken stuff for a living. Loose hinges, soft spots in floors, doors that do not close right. You measure, cut, reinforce. You make things solid again. People are not that simple. But doors are. "Do you feel safe in your place right now?" I asked. Her eyes filled again. One tear slid down her cheek. "No," she whispered. "Okay," I said, keeping my voice calm. "Then you are not staying there tonight. You can stay here." She took a step back like I had pushed her. "I do not want to be a problem," she said quickly. "You have work and your own space and your life. I am just the girl from 3A who talks about cold brew and borrows your drill." "I can buy a new drill," I said. "I cannot buy another you." She blinked, caught off guard by that. Her mouth trembled. She looked away, then back at me. "You really mean that?" she asked. "Yes," I said. I pointed to the locks again. "You saw the deadbolt, the chain. My windows look over the parking lot. If anyone pulls in and acts stupid, I see it. My phone is right there on the counter. You are not alone here." I walked to the kitchen. "Sit down," I said, nodding toward the couch. "I am making tea." She gave me a look, a little confused. "You look like a coffee guy," she said. "I am," I answered. "But my sister made me keep chamomile for emergencies. This feels like one." Her mouth twitched, the start of a real smile. I filled the kettle, set 2 mugs on the counter, went through the motions. Water, heat, tea bags, honey. My hands stayed steady. I could feel her eyes on me, holding on to the simple steps like they were a rope. We sat on the couch. She wrapped both hands around the mug and held it close to her chest. "Tell me what would make tonight feel safer," I said. She stared into the steam. "In my head," she said slowly, "the safest thing would be to leave Phoenix tonight. Change my number, my name, everything. Start over somewhere nobody knows me." She shrugged. "In real life, I have a lease. Clients, a therapist. My closest friends live across town, and by the time I drove to any of them, I would talk myself out of asking for help." She took a breath. "I know I cannot sleep down there," she said. "Not tonight. Not after he said he knows where my spare key is like it was a joke." She looked at me, eyes wide. "I can give you the couch," I said. "I have extra blankets. I will take the floor. It is not fancy, but it is safe. You will hear me if anything happens." She shook her head. "That is not what my nervous system needs," she said with a tired little smile. "I know how that sounds." "Then tell me what it does need," I said. She put the mug on the coffee table, her fingers twisted in the hem of her tank top. For a second, she looked like she might run back down the stairs and pretend she had never knocked. Then her eyes found mine. There was fear in them, but there was trust too. "I need to not be alone," she said softly. "Not tonight." She swallowed, then asked the question that would change everything. "Is there space left in your bed?" she asked. "Because I do not think I can close my eyes unless I know someone is right there who will wake up if I say their name." She flushed, but her chin lifted like she dared me to judge her. She did not look me up and down. Her gaze flicked to the locked door, then back to my face, waiting. I could feel the line between us like a tight wire. Neighbor, friend, man, woman, safety, want, all mixed together. I did not let my mind run ahead. I kept my voice even. "For you," I said, standing. "There is always space." I went to my dresser and grabbed a clean t-shirt and a pair of soft sweatpants. I set them at the end of the bed. "You get the wall side," I said. "You sleep under the covers. I stay on my side, on top of the blanket. I will not touch you unless you ask me to, or unless something is wrong. You can change in the bathroom, door open or closed, your call." Her eyes shone. "Thank you," she whispered. A few minutes later, she walked back into my room in my t-shirt and sweatpants. Her hair was pulled up, her mascara washed off. She looked younger and somehow more herself. She climbed into the bed, back to the wall, facing me. I lay down on top of the comforter, hands folded on my chest, staring at the ceiling fan. The space between us felt charged, but not with sex. With trust. With fear. With something fragile I did not want to break. "Ethan?" she said in the dark. "Yeah," I answered. "Are you really not scared of him?" she asked. I thought about his voice in the courtyard, the way he hit her door, the text she had shown me weeks ago when she finally admitted why she moved here. "I am not scared of him," I said. "I am only scared of you thinking you have to go through this alone." Her breath caught. For a while, we just listened to the hum of the AC and the faint traffic from the main road. Somewhere below us, someone's TV was on. A dog barked once and went quiet. I must have drifted off, because the next thing I knew, I felt the lightest touch on my forearm. Her fingers, half asleep, checking if I was really still there. I did not move away. Then my phone lit up on the nightstand. The screen glowed blue in the dark, bright enough to paint her cheekbones. A notification from an unknown number popped up. The preview showed one line, "Tell Lily I know where she is." The light from my phone cut through the dark like a blade. Next to me, Lily's breathing was uneven, not deep sleep, more like someone floating on the edge of panic. The text preview glared up at me from an unknown number. "Tell Lily I know where she is." Every muscle in my body went tight. I did not sit up fast. I did not swear. The last thing I wanted was to send her straight back into full terror. I turned the phone face down and took one slow breath. "Ethan," she whispered in the dark. She was awake. Maybe she had felt my arm tense. Or maybe she had never fully fallen asleep. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Was that him?" she asked. I thought about lying for a second. I could give her 10 minutes of fake peace. But she had knocked on my door for the truth, not for sugar. "I think so," I said. "The message says he knows where you are." Silence. Then she pushed herself up on one elbow. The faint light from the street slipped through the blinds and caught the fear in her eyes. "How does he have your number?" she asked. My jaw clenched. "I gave it to him," I said. "A few weeks ago in the parking lot. He was yelling at your door. I went down and told him if he had something to say, he could say it to me instead of screaming in the hallway. I told him to text me, not you." Her shoulders dropped a little. It was not relief, but something close. "You were trying to protect me," she said softly. "I was trying to be a filter," I said. "I thought he would get bored when he had no one to scare." I picked the phone back up and unlocked it. "Look." She leaned closer. Her shoulder brushed my arm as she read the message. "Tell Lily I know where she is." She squeezed her eyes shut for a second. "He wants me to feel like there is no safe place," she said. "He did this when I moved out. Calling from unknown numbers, showing up at my job, acting like it was funny that I thought I could get away." "Okay," I said. "Then we make it very expensive for him to keep playing this game." She frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means we stop treating this like something you just have to survive," I said. "We treat it like something he has to answer for." I took a screenshot of the text and saved the number under Do Not Answer. Then I emailed the screenshot to myself so it could not disappear. "Who knows the full story?" I asked. "Your therapist, anyone in your family?" "My sister in Denver," she said. "My therapist, yeah. My boss kind of knows I moved because of an ex, but not details." "Tomorrow," I said, "we call again. Not just to add a note. We ask how to file a report. We show them this. If they drag their feet, we go in person." Her throat moved as she swallowed. "You sound like you have done this before," she said. "Not this," I answered. "But I have worked with guys like him on job sites. The kind who think rules are for other people. They only start listening when there are real costs. Fines. Records. Losing work." She stared at the text again. "Is it messed up that I feel a tiny bit less crazy seeing that?" she asked. "Like now it is not just in my head. It is on a screen." "That is not messed up," I said. "Now it is proof." Proof is easier to fight with than fear. She let out a shaky breath and lay down again, facing me across the small space between us. This time, when her hand found my forearm, she did it awake, not half dreaming. "Will you sleep at all?" she asked. "A little," I said. "Enough." It took a long time for her breathing to even out again. I lay there listening for any sound outside the window. No footsteps, no voices, no engines stuck idling too long. Just the hum of the AC and the distant rush of traffic. By the time the sky started to turn gray, I had not really slept. When my alarm buzzed, I was already watching the ceiling. Lily opened her eyes slowly. She looked like she had maybe gotten 3 hours at best. "Morning," she said, voice rough. "Morning," I said. "You want coffee or food first?" "Coffee," she said, then winced. "Actually, food. If I drink coffee on an empty stomach, I will shake myself into space." I smiled. "I have eggs and bread. It will not be fancy, but it will count." We ate at my small table, the smell of toast filling the room. Her bare foot brushed the leg of my chair once. She did not jerk it back. After breakfast, she stood and stretched, then looked toward the door like it was a test. "I need a shower and clothes," she said. "My stuff is downstairs." The idea of her going back into that unit alone made my chest tighten. "I will go with you," I said. "We check the hall, the locks, everything. If anything is off, we come back up." She nodded quickly, like she had been hoping I would suggest that. We walked down together. The hallway was quiet. Her door looked normal, no new dents or scratches. Her small welcome mat was a little crooked. She opened the door slowly, peeking in first. Everything was where she left it. "Text me in 10 minutes, I said. "If you do not, I am knocking. Hard." "Bossy," she said, giving me a tired half smile. "Accurate," I said. She closed the door. I leaned against the wall and listened. Water turned on. Drawers opened. No angry male voices, no sudden thuds. 11 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Alive and showered. Your turn." I let out a breath I had not realized I was holding. All day while I worked, my mind kept drifting back to her. To the text. To the way her hand had tightened on my arm. Between jobs, I stopped at the hardware store. I bought a door security bar, a longer strike plate, and 3-inch screws. I grabbed a cheap door alarm, too, the kind that beeps when someone opens it. When I knocked on her place that evening, she opened the door in leggings and an oversized t-shirt. Her hair was damp again from a second shower. "What is all that?" she asked, looking at the bag in my hand. "Insurance," I said. "Can I work on your door? I will not change anything that breaks the lease. Just stronger screws, that bar and the alarm." She blinked, surprised. "You are asking," she said. "Yeah," I said. "It is your space. I do not touch it without your yes. If you hate anything I put up, I will take it down. No speeches." She watched me for a second, then nodded. "Do it," she said. "Please." I pulled the old short screws from her strike plate and replaced them with long ones that bit deep into the frame. I tightened every hinge. I set the security bar and showed her how it braced the door. "Before," I said, pushing on the door with my shoulder, "a hard kick near the lock could rip those tiny screws out. Now they have to go through real wood. It buys time. Most people give up when things get hard." "Not him," she said quietly. "Then we give you more time," I said. I stuck the little alarm at the top of the door. It chirped once when I tested it. "It is ugly," I said. "I like ugly if it keeps me alive," she answered. We stood in the open doorway for a moment, looking out at the hallway. "What about you?" she asked suddenly. "He texted you. What if he comes to your door next time?" "That is my problem," I said. She frowned. "Wrong," she said. "If he goes after you because of me, that makes it our problem." Something warm moved through my chest at that word. Later, around 9:30, there was a soft knock on my door. When I opened it, Lily was there in soft shorts and a hoodie, holding a small bag with a toothbrush and charger. "Is the offer for space in your bed still good?" she asked. "For you," I said, stepping aside, feeling it again, the line between fear and something more. There is always space. Same rules. She took the wall side, under the blanket. I stayed on top of the comforter on my half, hands where she could see them when the lamp was off. "Ethan," she said in the dark. "Yeah," I answered. "If this becomes a thing," she said slowly, "like if I sleep here more nights than I sleep down there for a while, is that okay?" I thought about my quiet routines, my half-built projects, the way my place had always felt just a little too empty. "Yes," I said. "I want you safe more than I want my routine." Quote. She was quiet a moment. "I will buy you coffee for the rest of your life," she murmured. "That is a dangerous promise," I said. She laughed into the pillow, and the sound was softer this time. We drifted toward sleep. It was almost 3 in the morning when the first bang hit her door downstairs. The sound ripped through the floor and straight into my body. I woke up in one breath. A second bang shook the frame. A third followed, even harder. From below us, a man's voice roared up through the building. "Lily, open the door!" Her whole body jerked beside me. She sat up, fingers clamping around my forearm. "That is him," she whispered. I was already reaching for my phone. "He will not stop," she said, shaking. "He never stops." I hit record on my camera and pointed the phone at the floor so it would catch the sound in my screen time. Then I dialed 911. The dispatcher answered on the second ring, calm and steady. "911. What is your emergency?" "This is Ethan Cole," I said, keeping my voice level even while the next bang rattled the bed frame. "I live at Ridgeview Apartments in Phoenix, Building C, Unit 5C. My downstairs neighbor has an ex-boyfriend at her door, pounding and shouting her name. She has a history of harassment from him, and we have threatening texts from earlier tonight. We need officers." As I gave details, he shouted again, "Lily, I know you are in there. Stop being dramatic." Lily pressed closer, eyes wide, knuckles white where she held my arm. "The dispatcher told us to stay in my unit, keep the door locked, and not engage." "Officers are on the way," she said. "If he comes up to your door, call back immediately." We sat in the dark, listening to him rage below us. The pounding, the kicks, the insults, then the same old sweet poison voice. "You owe me a conversation," he called. "You owe me that much." "No," Lily said under her breath, jaw clenched. "I do not owe you anything." "You do not," I said. It felt like forever, but it was maybe 5 minutes. Then, faint through the floor, I heard a different sound. Car doors. Voices. The crackle of radios. The banging stopped. I wanted to look. I also did not want to leave her alone in the room. "Can I go to the window?" I asked. "I will stay inside." She nodded, hand slowly loosening on my arm. "Just stay where I can hear you," she said. I moved to the living room and pulled the blinds back a little. Down in the parking lot, red and blue lights flashed against the old brick. 2 patrol cars. 2 officers. 1 man by the stairs, pacing, hands moving as he talked. Even from up here, I knew it was him. I felt my jaw tighten. He looked small from this height, but the damage he did was not. One of the officers shined a flashlight up toward our building. I stepped back out of sight. Lily's voice floated from the bedroom, small but clear. "Are they really here?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "They are here." I should have felt relief. Instead, standing there in the dark, I had one cold, clear thought. This was not the end of it. It was only the start. They talked to him in the parking lot for a long time. I watched from the small gap in my blinds. The officers stood with their feet planted. He paced in front of them, arms moving big, pointing up at the building, acting like he was the one who needed help. At one point, he laughed and shook his head like the whole thing was some big joke. I wanted to open the window and yell that it was not funny. I wanted to tell him the sound of his fist on a door lived in Lily's bones. I stayed inside. After a while, one of the officers pointed toward his car. He threw his hands up, said something sharp, then finally got in and drove off. The patrol cars stayed a few more minutes, then left too. When I went back to the bedroom, Lily was sitting up with her knees pulled to her chest. Her eyes were on the doorway, like she was waiting for him to appear there, even though we were 2 floors up. "They are gone," I said. "He left." Quote. She swallowed. "They always tell him to go cool off," she said. "They tell him to be respectful. They tell me I can file a report if I want. Then I go home and shake, and he goes home and sleeps." "Tomorrow," I said, sitting on the edge of the bed, "we go down to the station, not just a phone call. We go in. We show them everything at once. They cannot just tell you to add another note." She looked at me like she was trying to see if I meant it. "You will come with me?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "I am in this now. I am not backing out." Something in her shoulders loosened. She let her feet slide down and moved under the blanket again. "You do not have to sit up with me," she said. "I know," I said, pulling the old armchair closer to the bed. "I want to." I sat there with my back against the wall, watching the door. At some point, the building creaked the way old buildings do. Every time it did, she flinched less. I must have dozed for an hour because the next time I checked my phone, The sky was turning pale behind the blinds. Birds were making small sounds in the trees by the parking lot. Morning came whether you were ready or not. By 9, we were in a hard plastic lobby at the police station. It smelled like coffee, paper, and stress. A news channel played on a screen with the sound off. People came in holding forms and left holding thicker folders. Lily sat next to me in jeans and a gray t-shirt. No makeup, hair pulled back. There was a small tremble in her leg, but her back was straight. When they called her name, she stood. I stood too. "He is with me," she told the officer at the door. "He has the texts and the video." They led us to a small room with a table and 3 chairs. There was a poster on the wall about getting help if you were in a violent relationship. Lily's eyes flicked to it, and then away fast. A woman in uniform sat across from us. "I am Officer Ramirez," she said. "Tell me what is going on." Lily took a breath. Then she told the story. She told her about the relationship, about how he had slowly turned her world smaller, how he checked her phone, her clothes, her friends, how she had moved out, how he had said she would be back because nobody else would put up with her. She talked about the calls, the blocked numbers, the times he showed up at her old job. She talked about moving to this building, changing her number, and still hearing his fist on her door. She did not joke. She did not make herself small. She just laid the facts down, one by one, like pieces on a table. I slid my phone toward the officer. She watched the video of the pounding on the door beneath our floor. She listened to his voice. She looked at the screenshot of the text. "Is this the only message like this?" she asked. "The newest," I said. "But there are others." I swiped through and showed her more. Calls at odd hours. Missed calls. Short lines that were meant to scare, not to talk. Officer Ramirez nodded slowly and wrote notes. "This is good," she said. Lily's head snapped up. "Good?" she echoed. "Not good that it is happening," the officer said. "Good that you have kept records. It helps us help you." "What can I do?" Lily asked. Her voice was steady, but her hand shook a little on the table. "You can start a formal report," the officer said. She slid a form over with a pen on top of it. "We document the harassment. You can also ask for an order of protection. With this history and the text and the call last night, I think a judge will listen." "Will it stop him?" Lily asked. Officer Ramirez did not sugarcoat it. "It will not change who he is," she said, "but it gives us more power to act if he comes near you again. It turns this from annoying and scary to clearly against the law." Lily looked at the form like it weighed 100 pounds. Then she picked up the pen. I watched her write her name, slow and careful. It hit me that I was watching her choose herself in ink. When we walked out into the bright sun a while later, she squinted and pushed her hair back. "I feel like I ran a marathon sitting in a chair," she said. "You did," I said. "You did the hard thing." She breathed out. "You know what scares me?" she asked, looking up at the sky. "What?" I asked. "The idea that you are in this now," she said, "that he could decide to go after you because you did not stay out of it." "He already did," I said. "He texted me. He pounded on your door under my bed. He stepped into my life the second he scared you. I am not leaving you alone with that." She studied my face, searching for any sign that I was saying it to sound brave. "You could still step back," she said quietly. "You could say you helped enough and go back to Saturdays with your truck and your wood projects. Nobody would blame you." "I would," I said. She frowned. "Why does this matter so much to you?" she asked. I could have dodged. I could have made a joke about my sister beating me up if I did not help a neighbor. Instead, I told the truth. "Because I like you," I said. "Because for months I watched you carry groceries up 3 flights of stairs and still hold the door for other people. Because you laugh with kids in the courtyard and then walk back inside alone. Because I can see you trying to take up less space so you do not bother anyone, and I hate it." She stared at me. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something but did not know what. "I am not helping you because I want something back," I added. "I am helping you because that is what you do when you care about someone. You put yourself between them and the hit." Her eyes shone, but she did not look away. "I do not know what I can give you," she said. My nerves are shot. I jump at loud noises. I might have to move if this goes bad. I cannot promise I will be fun or easy. I am not asking you to be easy, I said. I am asking to stay. That is all. She inhaled slowly, like she was letting that sink in. That night, she came up at 9 again. No bag this time, just her and her phone and that tired slump in her shoulders. There was a note on my door, she said as soon as I opened mine. From the landlord. She handed it to me. It said she had broken quiet hours. It talked about domestic disturbance and multiple complaints. At the bottom it said her lease would not be renewed when it ended. They are blaming me, she said. He pounds on my door, you call the cops, and I get the warning. He scared me into moving once. Now they are pushing me out with paper. I read the note again. It was legal. No reason listed for the non-renewal, just that the owner chose not to extend. Their choice, I said. Not fate. It feels like my whole life is built on sand, she said. Like every time I trust a floor, someone pulls it up. Quote. I set the paper on the table and looked at her. Then we find you a new floor, I said. I cannot afford a nicer place by myself, she said. Not in a safer building, not with my student loans and rent and everything else. You will not be by yourself, I said. She stared at me. Are you saying what I think you are saying? She asked. I am saying we could move together, I said. Find a place he does not know. A place where the locks are ours, where your name is on the lease with mine, if you want that. Her heartbeat was almost visible in her throat. What if I am a wreck for a while? She asked. What if I wake you up every time a car door slams in the street? What if I cry when I smell his cologne on some stranger? Then that is what we deal with, I said. One slam at a time, one smell at a time, one night at a time. I do not need perfect, I just need honest. She laughed once through a tear. You talk about this like you talk about wood, she said. Measure, cut, brace, repeat. Wood does not like lies, I said. Neither do you, neither do I. Quote. She dropped her gaze to her hands. When she lifted her head again, something in her eyes had shifted. It was still scared. It was also decided. Okay, she said. Then we looked together. The next 2 weeks were a blur of apartment listings and tours. After work, we drove around Phoenix in my old truck, windows down, hot air blowing through, music low on the radio. We saw places that were shiny on top, but had doors that felt like cardboard. We saw cute studios that were too small for 2 lives. We saw one place with a pool and roaches in the cabinets. Lily walked into each living room and stood in the center with her eyes closed for a second. Sometimes she shook her head before she even spoke. No, she would say, the hall feels wrong. Or, the light is harsh. I already feel trapped. I checked locks and windows and talked to managers about rules. She checked how her chest felt in each space. We became a team without meaning to. The one we chose in the end was a small 2-bedroom in a quieter neighborhood. 2nd floor. Solid door. Deadbolt already installed. Windows that looked out over trees instead of a parking lot. There was a small balcony big enough for 1 chair and 1 plant. The air feels softer, she said when we stepped inside. I pushed gently on the doorframe. It did not move. We looked at each other. This could be it, I said. The day we signed the lease, the office smelled like paint and cheap air freshener. The manager put the papers in front of us. Lily's name went on the line that said tenant. Under that, in smaller print, a second blank said co-tenant. Lily signed first, hand steady now. Then she handed the pen to me. I wrote my name on that line and felt the weight of it. It was not just ink, it was rent, it was risk. It was choosing to tie my life to hers in a clear way. When we stepped back out into the sunlight, she stood on the sidewalk and stared up at the building. My ex used to say I was lucky, she said. Lucky he handled everything. Lucky he paid the bills. Lucky he told me what to do, because I could not handle life alone. She looked down at the copy of the lease in her hands, then back at me. I am not alone, she said, but this time nobody forced me into this. Not him, not you. I chose it. Good, I said. She turned toward me, hair moving in the hot breeze. There was fear in her eyes. There was also something else now, something that looked like hope. "This does not mean we have to rush," she said. "We can take it slow. We can be whatever we are ready to be. But I want you there. In the space. In the life." My chest felt tight and full. "I want that too," I said. We spent the next days packing our places into boxes. My living room turned into a maze of cardboard. Her walls slowly went bare. Each time I carried a box out of her old unit, it felt like I was carrying pieces of her out of a war zone. The landlord's note sat on her counter, half crumpled. On the last night in my old apartment, the bed frame I had built was bare. The mattress was already at the new place. The room that had held so many quiet nights now echoed when we spoke. Lily stood in the doorway, looking around. "This is where it started," she said softly. "The first night I asked if there was space." Quote, "You were asking not to be alone," I said. "You were never asking for too much." She walked in until she stood right in front of me. The room was empty around us. Only us, and the marks on the wall where furniture had been. "This time," she said, putting her hands flat on my chest, "I am not asking because I am scared. I am asking because I want you there." Her eyes met mine, steady and clear. "In the new place," she said. "In the new bed. In that life we both just signed for. Is there still space for me?" I felt my heart slam once, hard. I opened my mouth to answer. Before I could speak, my phone buzzed in my pocket. An unknown number flashed on the screen. My phone buzzed against my leg, cutting through the quiet of the empty bedroom. Unknown number. Lily's hands were still flat on my chest. Her eyes flicked down to the phone, then back up to me. Fear flashed there so fast I almost missed it. "Is it him?" she asked. I looked at the screen. No name, just numbers. "It might be," I said, "or it might not." The buzzing stopped. The screen went dark. For a second, it was just us and our breathing and the echo of this bare room. She had just asked me if there was still space for her. Not from panic this time, from choice. I could call back in a minute. Whoever it was could wait. I slid the phone back into my pocket and met her eyes. "You asked me a question," I said. Her fingers curled lightly into my shirt. She was not shaking now. She was just there, steady and real in front of me. "In the new place," she said. "In the new bed. In your life. Is there still space for me?" "For you," I said, and I felt the words all the way down my spine. "There is always space." Her eyes softened. The fear did not vanish, but something stronger rose up to stand next to it. This time, when she leaned in, it was not to hide. It was not to forget. It was to choose. Her lips met mine. Slow. Sure. No rush, no begging. Just a clear yes. My hands came up to her waist, light, careful, asking rather than taking. She pressed closer. The kiss was not about rescue. It was about us. When we parted, our foreheads rested together. We were both breathing a little harder, but it felt like the kind that comes from running toward something, not away. "We should go," she said softly. "We have a new place to set up." "Yeah," I said, smiling. "We do." On the way out, I checked the old bedroom one last time. No bed, no nightstand. Just the mark on the wall where the headboard had rested. This room had held her fear and our first fragile trust. The new place would hold something else. In the truck on the way across town with another load of boxes, I finally checked my voicemail. A calm voice came through the speaker. "Hi, this is Officer Ramirez. I wanted to update you both. The judge signed a temporary order of protection this afternoon. We will be serving him as soon as possible. It covers Lily, her residence, her workplace, and you, Mr. Cole. If he comes near either of you after he is served, call us right away." The message ended. Lily sat in the passenger seat, hands twisted in her lap. I replayed the last line in my head. "It covers Lily. It covers you." "He is going to hate that," she said quietly. He already hates that you are not scared enough to go back, I said. This just gives us more backup when he acts like who he is. She stared out the window for a moment, watching the city pass. The sun was low, painting everything in orange and gold. When she looked back at me, her eyes were wet but clear. I feel like every choice I make now, he is in the corner of it, she said. Even this move. I keep thinking about how mad he will be when he hears. I hate that. Then look at me, I said. She did. You are not moving because he pushed you out, I said. You are moving because you and I chose a place that feels safe. That part is yours. He did not give it. He cannot take it. Her throat worked as she swallowed. Say that again, she whispered. You chose this, I said. Not him, not fear, you. She nodded once, like she was nailing that truth into the frame of her mind. Our new apartment smelled like fresh paint and cardboard. The living room was full of boxes and half-built furniture. The sun came in soft through the leaves of the trees outside. No parking lot, no courtyard where his voice could bounce. We built the bed frame together. I held the headboard while she lined up the bolts. She laughed when I swore at a stubborn screw and handed me the right size hex key without me asking. Look at us, she said. Domestic and dangerous. Mostly dangerous to cheap furniture, I said. We argued about which wall the bed should go on, what side the lamp should live on, where to set her small plant. It was gentle, easy arguing. The kind that said, I care about this because it is ours. When the frame was solid, we dropped the mattress on top. The whole thing sat there in the middle of the new room, looking like possibility. Lily stood at the foot of the bed and let out a slow breath. No fights soaked into these walls, she said. No echoes of slammed doors. No memories of me sitting up listening for his car. Just paint and air and a lock we picked, I said. I had already checked the deadbolt 3 times. It clicked clean and strong. I had replaced the tiny screws in the strike plate with long ones without anyone asking. Old habits. That evening we walked the few blocks to the grocery store and bought basic things. Eggs, bread, coffee, 2 toothbrushes that matched by accident. On the way back, a car door slammed on the street nearby. She flinched. Then she caught herself and straightened. He is not here, she said under her breath. He does not know this parking lot. I did not tell her it was normal to still jump. I did not give a speech. I just reached out and brushed my knuckles lightly against hers. Her fingers slid into mine without thinking. Later, in the small bathroom, we brushed our teeth side by side. Our shoulders bumped. We both laughed with our mouths full of foam. This feels unreal, she said, meeting my eyes in the mirror. Like I stumbled into someone else's life. You built this one, I said. In the bedroom, the only light came from the small lamp we had argued about. The bed looked bigger with both of us there. Or maybe the space around it just felt less empty. She walked to her side automatically, the side near the wall. Old habits again. She slid under the blanket and turned to face me. I climbed in on my side and lay on my back for a second, staring at the new ceiling. No old fan, no old cracks, just smooth white. Ethan, she said. Yeah, I answered. I am scared, she said. Not like before. Not that tight, choking fear. More like I am scared this will go away if I blink too long. I get that, I said. She looked at me across the small space between us. And I am also happy, she said. Voice small, like the word felt fragile. I smiled. You earned that, I said. Both feelings can be there. They do not cancel each other out. She moved closer across the mattress. Halfway, she stopped, like she was checking in with herself and with me. I held my arm out a little. Her head found my shoulder. Her hand rested over my heart. My arm went around her back, slow and gentle. For a second, we both just breathed. Does this cross the line? She asked quietly. From bed share for safety to something else? Quote, I thought about it. It crosses into honest, I said. We are not pretending this is only about fear anymore. We are here because we want to be. Does that feel okay to you? She nodded against my chest. Yeah, she said, it does. We lay there in silence for a long minute. "You know you did not rescue me, right?" she said finally. I frowned a little, looking down at the top of her head. "What do you mean?" "I walked out of his house on my own," she said. "I called the therapist. I called the non-emergency line. I knocked on your door. I did those things. You did not swoop in and fix me." "I know," I said, "but you showed up," she said. "You answered the door. You let me be a mess on your couch. You called when I froze. You put your name on that paper with mine. You built real walls when the ones in my head were shaking. You risked your peace for me." She lifted her head so she could see my face. Her eyes were glossy but steady. "He might never understand what that means," she said. "But I do." I swallowed hard. "I did not do it to be a hero," I said. "I did it because when I pictured my life without you in it, it felt smaller. And when I pictured you scared and alone while I pretended not to hear, it felt wrong." Quote. She studied me for a long second. Then she smiled, slow and warm. "Good," she said, "because I do not want a hero. I want you." My chest tightened in a way that felt almost painful. "Then you have me," I said. Her hand moved from my chest to my cheek. She kissed me again, deeper this time, with no fear bleeding in at the edges. When we broke apart, she stayed close, her nose touching mine. "One more question," she whispered. "Okay," I said. "In this bed," she said. "In this home, in your plans. Is there space for all of me? The good days and the bad ones. The jokes and the panic. The nights I sleep like a rock and the nights I wake you up because a truck sounded wrong." I did not have to think about it. "There is space for all of you," I said. "Not just the easy parts, not just the laughing parts, all of it." Her eyes softened. For the first time since I had known her, she did not look like she was trying to shrink. "And you?" she asked. "Do you know there is space for you in my life too? Not just as the guy with tools, or the safe place to crash, as the person I want next to me when my life finally gets bigger than this." My throat felt tight. "I am starting to believe that," I said. "Good," she said. She settled back against me, head on my shoulder, arm across my chest. Her body relaxed bit by bit. Outside, a car drove past. Somewhere, a dog barked, the normal sounds of a city at night. Inside, her breathing slowed. Not the sharp, shallow breaths of someone listening for danger. The long, even breaths of someone finally letting go. I lay there and thought about everything I had put on the line for this. My quiet, simple routines. My safety. My sleep. My money. My name on a piece of paper that tied me to her fight. If you added it up on paper, it looked like a lot. If you measured it by the way she was curled against me now, safe and chosen, it did not feel like a risk at all. It felt like the only thing that had ever made sense. Right before she drifted off, she spoke again, voice soft and sleepy. "Ethan," she said. "Yeah," I whispered. "Thank you for making space," she said. I kissed the top of her head. "For you," I said, and meant every word. There will always be space.
If this story stayed with your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.